Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Amazing Race Rewind podcast, the podcast where we rewind back in time to watch the earliest seasons of The Amazing Race for the first time. My name is Andrew,
And I'm Jill.
and we are here today to cover season 3, episode 2 of the show. But before that, we just have to go through a little bit of housekeeping. Jill, do you want to take it away?
Yes, I didn't even know if you could tell in the intro there, but we've had a little couple of technical difficulties getting to this recording this week. So if you notice anything that sounds weird, any kind of tinniness or
Feedback.
echoiness
Yeah.
feedback, yeah, we apologize. We are doing our best. And we will be back on our top, what do they call it? Back in tip-top shape.
Yeah.
Standard, what is it? A high standard, high quality recording for next week. But for now, hopefully you can still enjoy the episode.
Yeah, and Jill's Wi-Fi is a little bit shoddy today, but they're trying to take us down, but nothing can stop the Amazing Race Rewind. We are too powerful for that.
We can't, especially because today we're
Oh.
recording this on September
Yeah.
15th, and in 4 days, it is the anniversary of our first episode drop. We've already
Woo!
passed the anniversary of the date of
Conception.
conception. Date of conception.
The idea was conceived.
Yeah, the idea was conceived on September 13th, and 6 days later we had an episode. So that anniversary has already passed, and in 4 days, so I guess 2 days from when you're hearing this episode, we will be celebrating the 1 year anniversary of Amazing Race Rewind.
Yeah, and with that being said, feel free to send us a cake, some flowers. I mean, we don't have a PO box, but if you would like to send a virtual cake via email at amazingraceroom@gmail.com, you can feel
We
free to
could
do that.
we could get like a fake PO box and just start receiving fan mail.
Okay, sure. Well, if anybody's interested in sending us fan mail, maybe we can look into setting that up.
We could also just do e-transfer.
E-transfer, absolutely.
Yeah.
So now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the first episodes. What are your overall thoughts and opinions on season 3, episode 2?
It was, I don't know. Like nothing jumped out to me, I will say. There was nothing monumental or nothing super jarring, but that didn't mean it was a bad episode. It was a good episode. I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I feel like it was just kind of run of the mill. Just kind of everything was pretty standard. It was decent. Nothing too crazily noteworthy, but there's still something to talk about. It wasn't boring.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And before we get into the depths of the episode, we forgot to pick predictions for who's gonna win last week. So we need to get on that because we can't. I mean, now we've seen 2 episodes. We have an unfair advantage because we've seen episodes 1 and 2 now, but we still need to choose some predictions for who's gonna win. So why don't you go first? Who do you think is gonna win season 3 of The Amazing Race?
So first off, I would just say right off the bat, no one's really jumping out to me as winner contenders.
Yeah.
Because I think we did pretty well season 1 and 2 because I recall I said Joe and Bill, who ended up third, and I picked both third place teams for season 1 and 2. I picked Joe and Bill and Blake and Paige, who
And
both made it far and were prominent characters.
yeah, I picked Robin Brennan season
Oh,
one, and
yeah.
what did I pick
I
for?
think you said Tara and Will.
I said Tara and Will, and I think I said Blake and Paige. I think I said both of them.
Uh-huh.
But we have a really good track record so far, that means. And
Yeah, we know how to call it.
however, I agree. I have no idea how to go this time around.
So I'm looking at the cast right here. Let me see. I'm gonna say let's go for an all-female team. I think Heather and Eve actually have a good shot here.
I do agree. They were the first team that we were introduced to when doing
Mhm.
the general introductions, and they stood out as a very strong contenders right off the bat.
Yes.
I'm feeling Flo and Zach and Aaron and Ariane both have really
Uh-huh.
good. There's something there, there is something there, and I think both teams are going to do very well.
Yes, I agree. Well, I mean, we especially saw Aaron and Ariane flourish. They had a really good episode this episode.
They really
Um,
did.
yeah, so I'm expecting a lot from them. However, we haven't really seen much of Flo and Zach, so I don't really have much of an impression on
But
them
but they're
at this
doing well.
point.
That's the thing.
They are doing well. Yeah, they've been on that first bus both times, which once again, we have another bus situation here with 3 million hours between the buses.
Of course we do.
Yeah. But again, overall, just for like overall thoughts on this episode, I think, like you said, episode one, they did a really great job of showing every team significantly. Like I feel like we have a solid idea of everyone at this point, which I feel like isn't usually the case in episode two. Even in modern seasons, like I feel like a lot of teams you kind of forget about or you don't really see much here, but they really highlighted every character.
I think that's also what's making it harder to maybe judge the winner, which is obviously
Yeah.
intentional, is in the first two seasons, those teams who made it much further were given a lot more screen time off the bat because obviously the editors know who's going to win and they want you to develop more of a bias or relationship to those characters.
Yes.
Here, they're kind of spreading it out pretty thin and you don't really know.
I totally agree.
Shall we get into it?
So with that, yes, let's get into it. So first of all, I just want to talk about the intro. Have you noticed like Ken and Gerard during like the intro sequence?
I'm gonna be honest. I watched the intro sequence once, and then I kind of like I get really into the music, and I just kind of zone out. Like that the theme song is so good that I don't
Uh-huh.
really focus on it.
Yeah, so like some teams are like on a boat, other teams are like
Yeah, they're doing the like
doing their little
stereotypical.
thing.
Yeah.
Ken and Gerard, it's just like their intro is literally just 1 second and it's of them, one of them tripping the other.
Do we need to know more? Like that
We
that
don't need
tells
to
me
know
so
more.
much.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and say right now that they are my favorite team of the season at this point.
I knew it.
Yeah. They're giving a lot. They're giving a lot confessional wise. They seem to be adequate racers. They know what they're doing and I think they're here to stay for a little bit.
You bring this up that makes me think. You remember in season 2, episode 5 when Ashley was on? Oh, did I cut out for a second?
No, you
Okay.
just shocked me by bringing up season two, episode five.
Oh, okay. Yeah, season 2, episode 5, when Ashley was on, and she asked us what would our little intro scene be.
Yes.
And I think we joked about it kind of. We were just like, "Oh, we would be podcasting or whatnot." But what do you, what, did we say anything else, or have you thought any more about this? Because it's making me think again, like, realistically, what would it be?
So
Because
to be incredibly real, I have no idea, which is why I said that little joke of us being in a like a little dimly lit room hunching over our computers podcasting, because I actually have no idea what it would be.
and
Like
that's
what would our like shtick be?
because you and I have been friends for a long time, but we don't have a lot in common in the sense that it's like we don't do a team sport together.
Yeah. We can really have similar interests, to
We
be
never
honest.
really no, we don't.
Versus someone
This is a shocking realization about a friendship. You could just stick us in like a cornfield.
cornfield. I don't want to be in a cornfield. Don't do that to me, please. We can just be, I think we'll give it up to the producers. Whatever you guys
The
think.
producers are, and you know what? They probably will just make us podcasts.
Yeah, well that you know what? I'm we're fine by me.
Yeah. They'll put us in a very high quality podcasting studio that is not ours and make us look like we're podcasting.
Yeah, with really good audio quality.
Exactly.
Um, but we are starting this episode where we left off the last episode, like we always do on The Amazing Race, which is at Haciendas, the former monastery in Mexico. And this rest period seems extremely luxurious. Like it's an
They're
all-inclusive
swimming.
resort. They're swimming, they're having like a lovely meal, they're staying in these like nice hotel. Like, what's up with that?
Okay, this is I think about this a lot because when we're in the race, there's no time for this. You know, it's gonna be pit stop, check in, eat a good meal, sleep. Like we prioritize health and wellness above all, you know?
Yes.
We need to be able to get to that next pit stop in the best shape we can.
Yeah, and these people, I mean, they're probably drinking, they're probably staying up late, they're just like trying to have a good time. This isn't the
Who is
amazing vacation,
Andre
you
and
guys.
Damon? Was it like they almost slept in or something they were saying?
They
Or
did. Yeah, it was
yeah,
the Gutsy Grannies moment. Except they weren't camping. They were in a hotel with probably access to an alarm clock.
it was definitely an interesting pit stop.
Something that was also contrasted to last season when I think like two was the ones when they were literally camping. So yeah, the first team to depart here are Ken and Gerard at 10:36 because they got the fast forward last episode, and they are instructed to go to the Pyramid of the Sun and climb on top of this 20-story pyramid to get their next clue.
So, and I know I called it last episode because the buses were so far apart, but this Pyramid of the Sun does not open till 7 a.m., which gives a significant amount of the teams kind of a muster point. Is that a good?
Equalizer.
Yeah, an equalizer. What is a muster point? Anyway, an equalizer, and so most of them Yeah, even though there was those 2 hour, 4 hour differences because of the buses, they do get sorted out pretty well.
Yes, yeah. And Ken and Gerard, as they're leaving, they have a good quote in their confessional. They're saying that they are Team Oh Brother, as in, oh brother, there they are again passing us. Yeah, so they're giving it to us confessional wise. Next up, Flo and Zach are departing, and they're waiting for Aaron and Ariane, who left at 1:11 a.m. And they're gonna work together here to find the Pyramid of the Sun.
And they have a really good quote here, which I think we have an episode title. But
Oh,
basically, their idea here is everyone against the twins. It just seems
yes.
like everyone is out to get the twins. They don't care where they stand as long as it's ahead of the twins. It's an interesting attitude.
Which to me is like, I'm not understanding why everybody's so against them. Like, they're not particularly strong racers. Maybe they're just like, they're not very threatening race wise, considering they were at the back and they do make a few blunders this episode. I mean, maybe they were just annoying during the rest period, or maybe teams are just jealous of them. Who knows?
I think it's a mix between jealousy, trying to knock out the weak, and who knows what happened in the rest period.
Yeah, I want to know why everybody hates them. Aaron and Ariane they're questioning why they're noticing some sexual tension between Flo and Zach and wondering why they haven't done it. And I just want to point out that Aaron and Ariane's confessionals are just they're very conversational. They like flow very nicely. They're pretty much just talking to each other. It doesn't seem forced at all, like other teams usually feel like forced, like they're speaking to the camera. This just like seems like the camera's catching Aaron and Ariane having a conversation.
They have a really good rapport.
Yes. I would say they are my number two team at the moment,
Interesting.
favorites wise. Yes. Ken
All
and Jordan
right.
and Ariane. Those are who I'm rooting for this season, as of right now, of course.
I could see that for you. I kind of guessed that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're the two teams with the biggest personalities at the moment.
That's true. Like in terms of entertainment value, they've given us the most.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So the next team to depart are John, Vito, and Jill, followed by Heather and Eve. So these teams all like clump up, and then Flo and Zach seem to be like the leaders of this little pack at the front. Uh,
Caravan.
yes, and they're just kind of all following Flo and Zach, and Zach goes the wrong way, and they all end up getting lost.
They make it seem like Zach is so good with directions and maps and driving, and that he's just going to be this awesome leader of this caravan of cars, and completely not the case.
Completely not the case. Yeah. Yeah, team said that too, that like, oh, we thought like he was like this navigational whiz, but turns out it's like you
He's
said,
just a guy
not
with
the
a map,
case. Just a person.
just a guy
Um,
with a piece of paper.
so other teams are departing, Heather and Eve, Dennis and Andrew, and then we get to a dramatic shot of the mat with music in the back that really brings up the dramatometer on this moment. And the departure time flashes on the screen of 9:4:09 a.m. and
The
there is no there.
dramatometer.
It's a gutsy granny situation once again.
It makes it seem like the mat has been sitting there for ages because it captures the little bit of dew and wetness on the mat. And it's like this has been waiting for
It's
their
something so
arrival.
ominous. It's like, oh
Exactly.
God, what's going on?
And
Um,
there come Andre and Damon.
Yes, and here we learn that they actually received a penalty because during the donkey task last episode, they were supposed to follow the map to their destination, but they didn't follow the map correctly and took the incorrect route. So they added on 48 minutes, which I guess was how much time they gained from doing that, and
Yeah.
then an additional 30 minutes for the standard broken penalty.
So they got a 78-minute penalty, which is pretty bad.
Pretty bad, but I would say as opposed to like to modern day Amazing Race, they give out like 2 hour, 3 hour penalties all the time.
That is true. I still remember the one where it was the team took a cab to the mat instead of walked, and they made them
Classic.
sit there for an hour.
Yeah. And that's also a difference here. I think nowadays they would have just added the penalty on and made the team wait at the mat before checking in. But I guess probably like technologically wise and like production wise, they didn't have the means to communicate that to Phil that this had happened, or they didn't exactly realize what had happened, or maybe teams argued with the producers at the pit stop and had a Robin Brennan moment um, where they
Uh,
then allocated this penalty after the fact.
exactly. I think also too maybe maybe the camera people eventually they had to maybe they play a more integral role now and well not that oh my God, not that their role is not integral enough, but they play a larger role in terms of enforcing penalties, as in the camera or the sound
Yeah.
people note these things and relay them as it happens in real time. Who knows?
Says after this big dramatic shot of the mat, it doesn't really seem to make that much of a difference because everyone gets equalized anyway at 7 a.m. And then we see Tremel and Talisha are departing after, and Tremel has a quote here where he's saying that they had bad luck last leg, and that it was because of his sister.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah. Which I
Um,
didn't really see what she did wrong. I think it was very much a team effort.
you know what? Like the confidence that he has is remarkable. If, to be that self-confident, good for you. I'll give it to him.
Yeah. The last team to depart are Derek and Drew at 4:37 a.m. and they immediately decide they're going to go for the fast forward. What did you think about this decision strategically?
I mean, to be fair, when you don't know if there's going to be kind of an equalizing point, I did think about this in terms of if we were in that position. I
Yes.
think it is the best time to go for the fast forward. You're there, you have such a high chance of getting out. You might as well just use it. Like I know there are
Yeah.
probably opportunities closer to the end of the race when you'd want to, but if you don't use it now, you may be out, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
what do
think
you think?
especially, yeah, I agree. I think it was a good decision from them because taking the fast forward this early on can be like a real, and getting a first place finish could be a real like momentum starter for the rest of the race and like being able to start the third leg, even if there is an equalizer. But I think just starting the next leg in first place really gives you a leg up, not only like confidence wise. Um,
A leg up.
well, yes, confidence wise, but I think it also will just help you just generally race wise. So I think
Yeah.
it was a good decision from them, especially since they were pretty far behind.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, do you think if you're in that position, you would make that same decision?
I do, and I think there's also an element of panic to it, is where it's like,
Oh,
if we don't do
completely.
this, we're probably going to be out.
Exactly.
So the fast forward directs them to the Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City, and they have to find the Voladores.
Valdoris, yeah.
And this was
And
actually an extremely interesting task.
I really liked it. It was,
It was great.
I'd say, a good amount of not challenging in any way that someone would walk away from it, I assume, but it was just kind of fun and unique.
Yeah. So what the challenge was is they had to climb to the top of a 100-foot pole and then hang from their feet upside down. And then it's kind of like it looked like one of those carnival swing rides where essentially they would climb up to the top and then they would like swing around the pole until they hit the ground. I don't know if I described that well at all.
No, the like the yo-yo ride, like that makes sense, like where you're in the swings and it spins you around. Um, but oh, what is it called? The thing in Midsummer with Florence Pugh.
I have no idea. I
The
haven't seen it.
maypole. Like you've got kind of the strings on the maypole and how they kind of twirl inwards until there's no more string left. That's kind of what this was like, except it was almost like unwinding. Like you start at the top and you drop down, and as you swirl around the pole in circles, you get closer and closer to the ground. You spiral. That's kind of the best visual I can give for it. It's very cool. Definitely, if you have a chance, look them up, the Valdores. But yeah,
Yeah, no, it looked fun. Dare I say one of the best fast forwards?
I would say so. Like I would honestly, I'd be excited to do that, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because
I still think though,
it's the right
yeah,
amount
I'm
of
sorry.
adrenaline, fun, and unique.
Yeah, although they did say, which was quite baffling to me, they did say, "Oh, this is scarier than the skydiving." It's like, is it really?
No. The fact that
There's no.
I'm fine with this means no.
Okay. However, I still do think the best fast forward of the series so far was season one, Nancy and Emily versus Team Guido in India, I believe, where they had to put the coins in
Oh,
the thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that was nerve-wracking.
that was the best, I would say. Yeah, it was like the task wasn't great, but just the situation was
Oh, and
phenomenal.
then the pit stop at the end. Oh, that was,
Great episode.
oh, I forgot about that.
Series highlight.
Definitely.
So teams are on their way to this pyramid, and Andre and Damon, they just take a random man from a hotel and bring them into their car.
Practically kidnapping.
Yes. I was like, has this man ever heard of stranger danger? I just thought this was so interesting to see because there's absolutely no way that this would be allowed today for the teams to let a local into their vehicle.
Oh, yeah, no, like it's one thing to say, "Oh, can I pay you and can I follow you in
Yes.
your car?" But to be like, "Come sit in my car with my teammate and my camera person and my sound person, and we're gonna just drive."
Yeah, and you tell us where we're going.
And then at some point, we're just gonna push you out of the car because we have a race to continue.
Yeah, whatever happened to him? That's what I want to know.
Did he make it home safe?
Yeah. Yeah, so he's the second coming of Fern, essentially.
The second.
So yes, most teams get to the pyramid before seven, but actually Andre and Damon, Dennis and Andrew, Tyrion, Ian, and Tramel and Talisha. Is it Talisha or Talisha? Do you know?
Talisha.
And Talisha. I've been saying Talisha, I think.
I know, I haven't corrected you.
They get there after seven, I believe.
Yeah,
And on, so yeah, Jill and who's Jill's teammate? I don't
John
really know.
Vito.
Jill and John Vito and Ken and Gerard are going up the pyramid at the same time, and Ken and Gerard are giving a great confessional. Where referring to Jill, he says that she was like a spider going up the pyramid, like chuk 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 chuk.
It was a great, great representation of their confessional, Andrew.
Yeah, they're absolutely killing it in that regard.
They are. I like, here's the thing. I sat there first and I went, why are all these people stopping to take a breath on the pyramid? It's not that high. And then I like sat back for a moment and went like the amount of times I've been out of breath on stairs,
Yeah,
like this would be quite a trek.
yeah, no, for sure.
Like when we say
Um,
it's not these little I mean no pyramid is little to start, but what are the really well-known ones that they look smaller in appearance. They're pyramids more near the south of Mexico. It's not like those. Like these are massive pyramids.
and these were really cool also. Like it was a really cool place for them to visit.
And I feel like they didn't give enough attention to it in the show in terms of the location.
No, not at all. Like I kind of wish there was a task there so they could have stayed a little bit longer and
I
like done
know.
something. But they just kind of went up then left.
Chichen
Uh,
Itza.
okay. Do you know
That's
where
what I
they
was
were?
thinking
Like
of.
what was this called?
Let me see. Largest building in Teotihuacan.
Oh yeah.
Teotihuacan. Sorry, Teotihuacan.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the largest in Mesoamerica, believed to have been constructed in about 200 CE. Sorry, the second road of construction resulted in its completed size of 225 meters across and 75 meters high, making it the third largest pyramid in the world, though still just over half the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Huh.
Interesting.
Okay.
This is all from Wikipedia, so there's your source.
Yes. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So with that being said, John and Jill are the first to get to the pyramid and they get the clue and they're told to travel by bus to Cancun to San Marino Marina.
Yes. And the bus station, that's like a good amount of chaos at the bus station of, oh, who's gonna get on the first bus? Like, how, it's quite fun.
Yeah, it was quite fun, but it's also kind of hard to keep track of.
It is because it seems like a lot of the teams get there. Well, again, the pyramid's open at the same time, so you have everyone driving to the bus station at the
Yeah.
same time. And it really felt like everyone just kind of bottlenecked at the bus station.
Yes, and it's all a big rush to get onto the 10 a.m. bus. And notably, Heather and Eve arrive at the bus station at
I loved
9:55
this.
a.m. And she says, quote, I went up to the guy and started hysterically crying, trying to work it to get on the bus. End quote.
Good for her. I could do this. Like I need you to know that I could do this.
Yeah, so she's pretty much just like begging the guy and like crying is like, we really need to get on. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it ended up working for them.
I think we need to consider that I think this isn't a skill that we've talked about that our us as a team could have. Like no one's really pulled this card yet on the Amazing Race, but it's a good one to pull.
It definitely is, yeah. And they're working. Like I like them. First episode, they were begging on their hands and knees to locals at the airport to give them money. This episode, they're emotionally manipulating people at a bus terminal. Let's they're
They're
playing
smart. They're smart
yeah,
contestants.
which is why I think they have what it takes to go far.
I don't disagree with you.
But yes, they do end up getting on the 10 a.m. bus with Ken and Gerard, John Vito and Jill, Aaron and Ariane, Flo and Zach, Michael and Kathy, and we learn now that the second bus is a whole 3.5 hours later.
And not only that, but we get the teams on, and we find out it's a 24-hour bus ride that they have to
24-hour
take,
bus
which
ride.
is long. Bus one is doing fine. They're ahead.
Yeah,
But bus two, we see who's all on bus two. You've got Terry and Ian, you've got Tramel and Talisha, you've got
the twins,
the twins, and
Andre and Damon, and Dennis and Andrew.
yes, they're all sleeping. They're all just, resting. They're already behind by 3 hours, so
Yeah, there's some
they
like
know.
suspiciously long shots of them just like sleeping on the bus. It's like, why are we seeing this right
I'm
now?
like, is someone gonna steal from them? What's gonna happen? Then the most 2000s editing happens. I'll let you talk about this because I know you probably loved this.
I loved this. I had to rewatch a
I know you did.
couple times.
I knew you
It's
would.
Yeah, they're all sleeping, and then out comes from nowhere the most like think of the most stock sound, like a stock image, but stock sound, stereotypical screeching car sound of like a skrrr, and then a white screen flashes, and it's like crash, and then cut to a car that was in an accident. It was just the whole editing of it was so incredibly absurd. To me, it was on par with the one scene last season. It was on Australia, I think, of where they made it seem like Will was gonna hit Tara and Alex and Chris. Do you remember that?
Wait, no, which one was that?
He was like in the car, he like revs up the engine, he like looks in the side
Oh,
mirror. Yeah.
that was so good. I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was in New Zealand. Okay.
It was in New Zealand. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was definitely of the same ilk. And I
It's like,
loved it.
that like really common, I don't know what you'd call it, meme, Vine, whatever, of like where it's
Yes.
like the one clip from a show where it's this woman descending a staircase really dramatically
Yes.
and it goes through every transition,
Yes.
like every possible effect. That's what it gives.
So what had happened was a car had essentially just hit the second bus, and it was I don't know what happened to the people in the car. The airbags were deployed. It seemed pretty beat up. But this ended up making the teams have to evacuate the bus and wait for a new one to come,
Yeah, I will say it
which put
didn't
them
look like
behind.
the people in the car were fatally injured. Like the car was probably gonna need some work, but the people
Yeah.
seemed fine.
I mean, I feel like it would have been pretty insensitive if they were if it
Yeah,
was fatal.
yeah. Everyone was fine, but it caused even more of a disadvantage on top of that 3+ hour time difference between the
Yes.
buses.
So we have this big catastrophe on bus number two, and then they cut to bus number one with Heather and Eve eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches, going like peanut butter jelly. It's so funny.
Oh. Anyway,
Okay.
but bus one has great luck and they get to their location unharmed.
Yes. And meanwhile, at bus two, we got a confessional from Tramel and Talisha. And I think it's Talisha who's saying, she's like, we're behind, but that doesn't matter. She says, we're Team TNT. We only need a spark and we'll blow the house down, which is great.
She's given some good one-liners, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah. They're getting their branding down, their Team TNT. I liked it. The first bus arrives in Cancun, and teams are on their way to the Merino Marina.
The
And Aaron
San
and
Marino
Ariane,
Marina.
sorry, San Marino Marina. And Aaron and Ariane decide to think they're thinking proactively here. And they
Yeah.
think, okay, we're in Cancun. There's probably going to involve swimming, some water, which, mind you, they were correct. Both of the tasks here involved water. And they decide to change into their bathing suits while in the taxi.
You know what? Respect.
Yeah.
Because
And
that
yeah, go
that
ahead.
30 seconds is all sometimes you need to get to the mat a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and I like it. And Ariane goes topless in a taxi in front of the driver, changes her bathing suit, zero shame. And this is exactly what I expected from this team
They're
for them
just
to do
they're
something
they're
like
here for
this.
a good time.
Yes. And then from there, we get to the detour.
Which I mean, you know what to expect from your detours at this point. We're not going to do the same piece of commentary we've been doing for 3 seasons now, but it's kayaking or jet skiing. What was it? It's horsepower or manpower is technically what they call it.
Yes.
But basically, you're in a lagoon or a bay of some sort. When you're in the kayaks, there's this very small designated lagoon area where you have to kayak, if you didn't know. And the clues are hidden somewhere in there. So the shtick is that small area, but you have to use manpower. And then
Uh-huh.
with the horsepower, it's on the jet skis or the sea-doos or whatever you call them.
They
Um,
called it, hold on, I've never heard of this before. They called it a wave runner.
yeah, no, I've never heard that either.
They just made that up.
To me, wave runners are bigger.
Okay, well, regardless.
They're the sea-doer jet ski to me.
Yeah, I would say it's a jet ski.
Yeah. But as I'm sure you can tell, it's a much larger plot of water that they have to search for the clue in on the jet ski. But it's faster because they're on a jet ski.
Yeah, and it's not as physically taxing.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
but when I first saw this, I thought, oh, this will be like no problem. It'll be probably be a pretty boring detour. But some teams really struggled with operating a jet ski.
Well, from bus one, nobody really struggled. Everyone seemed fine. Well, and we'll talk about these separately, but it wasn't until bus two that the difficulties with the jet skis became prevalent, shall we say.
Yes. Um, so notably, I have here Ken and Gerard did the kayak, and one of them has a quote saying that he felt like the Queen of the Nile on the back of the kayak.
Good for you.
Good for you. And then also, John Vito and Jill, they start on the kayak and then switch to the jet ski midway through, which I think is a poor decision. I didn't like that.
You gotta commit. You like if you're this far in, you gotta commit. And I mean, is this even a question for me to ask you which one we would do?
I mean, honestly, I don't really think you can make a wrong decision here as far as detour choices, but I think I would lean towards the kayak, to be honest.
See, that's what I thought too, is I had a moment where I'm like, well, obviously you choose the jet ski, but I think you and I would be good at that kind of thing because all it is just rowing. And I mean, I've done
Yeah.
kayaks, I've done canoes. It's just like to me, it's easier. You
And
have
I
more
think,
control.
yeah, I think it's pretty small. Like you could see where the clue is probably pretty quickly, and then it's just a matter of getting there and then getting back. Whereas in the jet ski, I feel like it's more just like riding around aimlessly.
Well, and who was it? Was it Ariane or was it Flo? One of the two was saying just they didn't realize how big the area they had to search
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
But no, I
Um,
like yeah, I actually at first I thought, oh, it's not a question. Like, do we do the jet ski? But it's the kayaking, they actually made it more appealing.
yes, yeah, I agree. So yeah, Flo and Zach, they're the first ones to leave. They seem to find the clue immediately, and they're told to have to go to the beach club and a beach club of some sort, and then take a ferry to Island Cozumel.
Yes.
Cozumel?
Cozumel, yeah, I think, yeah. It seems like they go pretty quickly and it takes the rest of the teams a little bit longer to find their clues, but ultimately not too long. They're pretty close behind them.
Yes. And so at this point, the second bus arrives, and then when the second bus arrives, everybody on the first bus has completed this task and they're on to the ferry. And we got a shot of Aaron and Ariane, of course, doing the Jack and Rose from Titanic on the ferry.
Here's the thing though. They're doing it at the back of the boat, which defeats the
Yeah.
purpose because it's like I'm flying, Jack, but the wind is going the wrong way then.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they were having a blast.
I'm sure they're having a blast. It defeats the purpose because the point is that Rose can feel the wind like she's flying. No one flies backwards.
Well, Ariane was.
Good for
I'm
her,
sure it was
but
very mad.
it seems very on brand for them. But you know what? They're a great team.
Yes. And so yes, the second bus arrives, and Ian, who I notably called a basket case last episode, I'm standing by this. He goes to his taxi and he says, "Do you know where this is? You better know where it is."
Good for him.
It's like, wow. And then there's just a shot of them in the back of the taxi in unison saying, San Marino Marina. It's like, what?
They're great, honestly. Like they you don't see them a lot, but when they do, they've got a good moment.
They're giving something. They're definitely not stale.
Exactly. And as you mentioned before, Bus 2 is where we really see some comedy, shall I say, with the jet skis.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So the twins, they were on bus two, but they get to bypass everything because they took the fast forward. So they're on their way to their pit stop. And it's pretty much a four-way race, as they say, to not be last between Andre and Damon, Dennis and Andrew, Ian and what's her name? Terry, and then Tremella and Talisha.
Yes.
So the first thing we see of these people who are having issues on the jet ski are Talisha and Tremel. So Talisha is driving this jet ski at the most ridiculously slow speed I've ever seen. Like, how does this even happen? I thought it was broken or something.
And this ultimately doesn't bode well for them because I here's the thing. I've never seen someone flip a jet ski from going too slow.
Yeah. So I guess it goes so slow that like it capsizes somehow and then it flips.
Yeah. It's a great moment, I will say, but the dangers of jet skis are high speeds. I never thought like, oh, you can
Low
capsize
speed
it.
is where
Yeah,
the trouble is. Yeah.
in my
So they
very
flip off.
limited
They're in the
experience with
water.
jet skis.
Yeah, because she's going at such a slow turtle speed, and they flip off, and then they get back on, and then they fall off again, like almost immediately after. And Talisha describes it as a comedy of errors, and then Trammell says, "Well, at least I get to pee though, because now he's in the water." So there you go. You
But your
can really,
luggage is right there.
yeah. And then also from the second bus, we have Ian and is her name
Terry.
Terry? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep messing it up. Ian and Terry, they also flip. And I'm just so lost. Like, how does this keep happening?
I've never operated a jet ski, so maybe it's harder than it seems, but I've operated skidoos. Like
Yeah.
I
Well,
understand
yeah,
that snow is not moving water, but
yeah. And their backpacks fall off here. And it like transitions to slow motion as they're falling, which is like quite comically terrible. And both teams are in shambles at this point.
they really are. It makes again, it makes a task which seemed like it had a very obvious one or the other in terms of the
Yes.
detour. It makes it seem like, it's more evenly weighted, which I felt good because again, obviously as I said before, oh, it's one of the same tasks. We've done this before, which it still appears to be, but at least there's a little more pizzazz to it.
And you know what? I think incompetence on The Amazing Race goes a long way for entertainment value. Like if teams are just like failing so miserably, like that's what we like to see. We don't want to see people excel in tasks all the time. That's boring.
Incompetence goes a long way. I love that quote.
Yeah,
That could be put on hats next to crickets for Gary.
okay, well, write that down. So Trammell and Talisha, they eventually find the clue and they're like swinging around the buoy to find the clue, and then they flip again for the third time. But you know what? At least they have the clue, and which Trammell reads from the water. He like opens it while he's flipping in the water and reads it in the water.
Yeah, I feel like also just you and I would be better about like, okay, if I'm gonna lean down to get this clue, weight distribution. Jill, lean that way.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, again, nobody else seemed to have an issue with this, but they were,
Exactly.
yeah, they really struggled with the jet ski.
Yeah. It made for, like you said, good entertainment value though.
Yeah, it really did save the episode in a sense. So meanwhile, Aaron and Ariane have made it to the island Cozumel and are at the roadblock, which the prompt is should be ready for the swim of a lifetime.
Yes. What is
And
that? What is that? Look.
what? No, I was okay, sorry. And so I was just gonna say from the prompt, who is doing it between you and I?
Here's the thing, the prompt is misleading because I would instantly think if it's scuba diving, it's gonna be very challenging for me. But I
Yeah.
would love to swim with dolphins. Like that's be so much fun. Like you're just swimming with these cute little dolphins who are jumping all around you and so happy.
Yes, I agree. Although I think just from the prompt, the swim of a lifetime, it doesn't, you could be swimming with fish for all we know.
Exactly. So I feel like you would just based off of that, you and I would be like, unless I like saw dolphins, then I would be like, oh, okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah. But who
Here's the thing
says
though.
there aren't fish as well?
That's true. Here's the thing though. You and I, like, the fish thing aside, genuine question. Who do you think is a better swimmer?
I can't say I've actually really seen you swim
I'm thinking too. Like, I can't, other than like when we go to the pool with school trips and stuff, but
in like
like,
freaking grade four.
literally, I can't think of another time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we both did swimming lessons. I think we can both keep afloat.
But
Um,
I'm just like, because I mean, you're given flippers and stuff, but like, who's a stronger, has one of us spent more time in the water than the other?
I don't know. Well, what the task is you have to search for a clue which is at the bottom of the water among dolphins. And I used to love diving toys. I used to love like diving to the bottom of the pool to grab toys. Like that was my favorite thing ever.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing. I mean, obviously we wouldn't know that, but I mean, if this task is already made for you, then go ahead.
Yeah, I like diving underwater. I think it's fun. And yeah, among dolphins, are you kidding?
I see that, like, I am upset that, like, if we were in the scenario and you did the
Yeah.
roadblock, this would be a task that I'd be like, oh, I'm genuinely upset I didn't get to do that.
Yes. And so yeah, Michael and Kathy arrive too, and Michael decides he's gonna swim, but then he forgot that he can't swim.
Oh. Which is just so like how question how
Yeah, I don't know how you forget that. But he did, and he did do the task quite well. Like he didn't seem to struggle too immensely. And there was a really cool shot of him swimming and with like a dolphin jumping right beside him, which
Yeah, it
is
was
I
really
think
nice.
what they wanted from a task like this.
There was someone even saying at one point, like, oh, the dolphins are kind of swimming around where the clues are. They led me to the clues, which I thought
Yeah,
was cute.
that was cute. And I think I really liked there was like really serene aqua coded music during this task that
What
I
is
like.
aqua quoted music?
Like
Coded
aqua,
music.
like it was, like Mario water levels. That's kind of what it was giving.
Like Koopa Cape or Koopa Fall, Koopa Troopa Falls. What is that one?
If in Mario Kart, sure. I'm talking about like Super Mario Bros.
Oh, I didn't play Super Mario Bros.
Okay,
I've
well,
only played it a handful of times.
Mario Bros. Aside, Ariane gets the clue first, and then after this task, teams are instructed to drive themselves to the next pit stop at Diamante K Bungalows, which is in the town of Tulum, or as Aaron would say, Dynamite Bungalows.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. Okay, and then also something I noticed is they did will be eliminated this episode.
Yes.
Because I remember we talked about it during season one. Did they do that in season two, or did we just not pay attention and didn't realize?
I don't think we didn't. I can't recall one time we brought it up in season
Yeah.
two. Maybe we did, but I did pick up on the will be eliminated. But I also feel like that's not surprising. It's episode two. If you're gonna put a non-elimination leg on episode two, that's pretty weird.
I mean, well, I think nowadays it's not so weird, but considering the context of Amazing Race season three and the past two seasons stacking all of their non-eliminations with like six teams left, I think that would be strange.
Do we want to call it then that there's gonna be a non-elimination next round or next race, next
I
leg?
have I feel like they're still gonna put them all at the back for
That's
some
true because
reason.
there is also 12 teams now.
Yeah. Although I would like them to spread them more out. Well, we'll see what happens here. And
Oh,
Derek and
sorry.
Drew, we kind of like forget about them for the whole episode. And I was
We
like,
forget about them. We forget about Ken and Gerard. There's a lot of people who just don't get a lot of airtime.
yes. Yeah, we like forget about Derek and Drew. And this made me think, is like they want us to forget about them and then just like, are they actually gonna get eliminated this episode? Because they were just like lost in the middle of nowhere.
Even though they had the fast forward.
But yeah. But alas, there they are. They show them fighting over directions, and they do arrive in first.
This I have to comment because they get there, they check in, whatever, and then they're first. Aaron and Ariane get there, and it cuts away to these shots of Derek and Drew on the beach in just their shorts, which it's a mix between like every ad campaign for like American Eagle at like you've ever seen, and also
Yes.
just like it was just the most like weirdly cinematic, not cinematic, stereotypical model advertising shot ever.
Yeah, and yeah, while this shot is going on, Aaron and Ariane are talking about how much they want the twins gone. And there's a good quote here where they say Abercrombie and Fitch campaign gone wrong are the twins.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
another good episode title.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. So then yeah, Aaron and Ariane, they're killing it. They had a really great episode. Heather and Eve are in third. And we get kind of like the teams coming in here, just a quick montage. Michael and Kathy are in fourth, Flo and Zach in fifth, Ken and Gerard in sixth. And then here it's like kind of fuzzy. They make it seem like what I believe happened is that Trammell and Talisha were on a completely different ferry behind everyone else, which were Andre and Damon, Ian and Tyrion, Andrew and Dennis. But they didn't really show us exactly that they were behind because I think they still wanted us to think that they had a chance, even though I don't think they did.
No, I don't think they did. Because in the scene of Trammell doing the roadblock, it's looks like it's night out already.
Yeah, and there's nobody there.
No, like it looks like they've obviously got some sort of lights pointing on the area to help him do the swimming task. So I don't think there was a chance for them.
Yeah. So John, Vito, and Jill are in seventh. Andre and Damon in eighth. Dennis and Andrew are in ninth. And they're making it seem like it's close between Tramell and Talisha and Ian and Terry. But if you were paying attention, it was pretty obvious that Tramell and Talisha were out.
Yeah.
And Tramell and Talisha, yeah, they are ultimately eliminated. And it's a nice elimination.
Talisha has a great line where she says, like, we're TNT, but we got
Yeah.
wet, so the explosives don't work anymore, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Team TNT, we're all wet, no longer explosive,
There we
and we're
go.
signing out. And I got chills from that, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think it was the music more than anything.
Wow. It's
Yeah, there was
like
some good
you're
music.
getting strong emotions this early in the race.
Well, I really liked this team. I thought they were very
That's
entertaining. They
true.
were fun. They didn't seem to take it too overly seriously.
They had a good time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Trammell was even cracking jokes at the very end. Like Phil tells him that they're eliminated, and he goes, "Well, I wasn't even listening." It's like, okay.
Good for you.
So that wraps up Trammell and Talisha, unfortunately. I would have liked to see them for longer.
I would have
Um
too, yeah.
Yeah, but overall, we had that clear divide again with the buses, 3 hours in between. Like, obviously, that's hard for the producers to control because they're using a public bus system. They're not doing chartered buses like they would nowadays. But yeah, I would like to see a little bit more of an even playing field. But we see next week everybody is very against the twins, which is still I'm not entirely sure why. People seem to be driving tanks, and Ken and Gerard fall out of a boat.
Sounds like a great episode. I can't wait.
Can't wait for next week.
But yeah, with that, that wraps season 3, episode 2. As we said, we are so, so happy that we have been able to do this for a whole year,
A whole, well,
over
with a
four
break
th
between,
with a
but
break, but over 4,000 downloads across multiple streaming services. Andrew let me have my moment. And 1 year with the most incredible fans. We
yes.
thank you guys. This is so fun, and we're so happy we get to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we don't even get paid.
And we don't even get paid. Although I don't, yeah, we don't have a donation set up or anything, but if you'd like to donate, we can set something up for you. We can make
E-transfer
that
works
work.
with email addresses.
Well, with that being said, our email is amazeracerun@gmail.com. If you want to chat with us, send us a message, let us know any information that we might have missed from the episode or anything behind the scenes with no spoilers, of course, because we are watching for the first time. And you can see us on Instagram at Amaze Race Rewind, where we post highlight clips of every episode. Rate us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, leave a review, share with a friend, etc., etc.
You know the drill.
You know the drill. We'll see you
Uh,
next week with episode 3 and with the return of a guest, perhaps.
well, not the return of this guest, but the return of
Well, no,
bringing guests on the
the
show.
concept of bringing guests on, exactly.
Yes, is a new guest.
New guest, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see you next week for episode 3.
Bye.